Audio Jungle, Audio Jungle, Audio Jungle, Audio.
If I gave you a paper and a pencil and I asked you to draw something about environment, you will all draw a hill, a tiny little stream, and there would be this tree that you'll draw and a V-shaped bird on top. And if I asked you when was the last time you had this in front of you, as students of this university, yes, you have it right in your backyard. But for a larger India, is this truly available today is the bigger question. And that's where my story begins, and that's where my love for India's environment is what I take to every stage that I get. And it happens so coincidentally that yesterday was World Rivers Day, and we are on the banks of one of the mightiest rivers in India. And I also happen to speak to young nation builders who I hope one day would take this river seriously into consideration. The journey of this river, the Great Mahanadi, we tried this morning to shoot a couple of video clips. We didn't have the time to stitch it together into a fine video, but I just have raw footage for you. And I invite you to travel with me in the next 15 minutes into a journey, trying to understand this great nation that we call home and the ecology, the biodiversity of this land. Simple as this. If I asked you, what do you know about the Mahanadi? Probably you'll say, it starts in Chhattisgarh, it runs through Orissa, it meets the sea at Paradeep, it's so many kilometers long, and it has the Hirakud. Yes. But what beyond that? We traveled along the Mahanadi, and my story this morning is about the Mahanadi. There is something in common between Kerala and Orissa, something in common between Tamil Nadu and Jammu and Kashmir, something in common between Gujarat and Meghalaya. That is, we have lakes, ponds, rivers in all these states. We also have people who abuse, litter, and exploit these rivers in all these states. It's not the religion, it's not the caste, it's not the language that binds us together as one country. What appalls me and saddens me is that the nature in which we abuse our environment is what keeps us together. And I'm truly worried about this, and I know that there is potential here for us to change this, right? We're in the new age, modern age, talking technology, talking about design thinking, innovative ideas and more. But we've forgotten our very basics. Our journey along the Mahanadi starts in south central Chhattisgarh. Some of the most beautiful places of earth exist there even today. Please don't ever visit, because if you visit, I'm sure we'll throw a couple of wrappers there and pollute it. So just travel with me in this journey and leave it for your imagination, right? South central Chhattisgarh, where in the backdrop of these beautiful hills, starts this tiny little stream. The Mahanadi as it is doesn't emerge as the big river that we see. And the video behind, which I hope is playing, is the sunrise this morning. I was taken aback by the view that I got when I went to this river. Yes, we've read about this river, we've read about that dam, and you only have a thought and an imagination. But then when you're right there, watching this water that has trickled down millions of rock pebbles through, this water that has traveled all the way from Chhattisgarh, from the Hastio, from the Jong, from the Ong, all these rivers, and has become this mighty, huge Mahanadi. The story begins, as I told you, in that central portion, south central of Chhattisgarh, from where this river starts to migrate. At the origin of this river, the water is crystal clear, right? You taste that water, you are taken aback, because there is a fresh load of energy that goes through your body every single vein. And the river travels another 45 kilometers. 45 kilometers later, the river meets a tiny little village where there are a lot of cattle, people, everybody is washing clothes, and people are using that water for agriculture and more. I talked to the youngsters in that village. They're all very fascinated that this river runs through their village. When I speak to an older person in that village, he's very worried. You know what he said? Back in my days, I wouldn't even spit. We were not even allowed to spit anywhere close to the river. Forget spitting. Today the river is the toilet. Today the river is the place where people go drink. Today the river is the place where we let out all our sewage. I'm really praying to Mother Earth that she takes me away sooner because I can't see this river become what she's becoming today. And that thought, somewhere deep within, stuck in me. Why, as young Indians, are we not able to connect with nature the way our older generations did? Simple as this. It's only because you and I have not experienced what they experienced. Ask yourself a question. When was the last time you went to a lake, just sat by the lake, read a good book? When was the last time you could swim in a river? When was the last time you just sat by that lake and then you wrote a beautiful piece of poetry? You could do all that when you watch this. But we are stuck in our own world. Everything has to be 4K high definition. It cannot be realistic. That's what we've come to today. And that's where I want to trigger your senses. As the river migrates with many smaller streams joining her, she then traverses through the Chhattisgarh region, enters Orissa. The Hirakud, one of the largest masonry dam in the world with her dikes and more, is a fascination beyond imagination. It's an ocean, yes. It's not a river, it's not a lake, it's an ocean. Did you know there's a tiny little island which once was a hill? After the construction of the dam, this hill got submerged in the reservoir area of this dam. It's called the Cattle Island. And look at how, when you give nature a chance, she bounces back in style. This hill used to be a village before this dam was constructed. And on this hill, people used to live with cattle. And the rehabilitation happened. People had to be moved away from that hill. When they were moved away from the hill, they left their cattle. Yes, they couldn't bring their cattle back. 20 years, 30 years later, when researchers went back to that island, which is now no longer a hill, it is an underwater hill, but only the surface you could see, the cattle have redefined themselves. They've gone back to becoming wild animals, and they've survived. No man, no woman is able to tackle these animals anymore. And that's the beauty of nature, right? And that's exactly what we all fail to understand. Because you and I can talk loud and walk straight, somewhere deep within we believe we are the superior species. Unfortunately, we bring in the tag of religion, caste, creed, language, gender, and more to only fight about things which are not even true, which are not even realistic. We forget what is priority. After a good 35 years, there is so much water in this reservoir and in this river. Why aren't you worried that it's happening only once in 35 years? A month and a half ago, Kerala was devastated by massive floods. 4 weeks later, Kerala is facing acute water shortage. Everything is so sensational that we only want sensational news. We've forgotten what is common sense, right? Chhattisgarh and Orissa are fighting over the waters of Mahanadi. You and I should be part of that dialogue. We need to understand where our waters come from, where our waters go to, what is happening to our water. If you are drinking the Mahanadi water, let me tell you this. I drank the water. Every time I took a gulp of that water, these were the imagery that came in mind. Just outside of the Ranchi city region, where the Mahanadi flows, one municipality was dumping all their solid waste onto the banks of the river. And a little further down, there were 4 trucks with septic tank waste, which were dumping all their waste into the river. Further, even down, there were people who were swimming in it, washing clothes, cattle bathing. What is the problem, Arun? Why can't people do all this? People can definitely do all this. But you're not supposed to do all of this in a river, right? And then, all this water runs through farm fields where it carries all the pesticides and fertilizers, comes and hits the dam walls, and then flows further down. We've made this river so much only about ourselves. What about the crocodiles? What about the turtles? What about the fish? What about those birds? Just standing on the banks of this river this morning, we witnessed at least 17 different kinds of birds. The fascination, same kind of people. Huh? Probably he called himself Odia, I called myself Telugu, Tamil, Marathi, that's all. But look at the birds. There was an eagle. Yes. There was an egret. There was a heron. And I was stunned. I was stunned. Which other university could technically have more reasons to celebrate a given river other than yours, which was set up with the sole purpose of managing that river and that dam. And as future nation builders, as engineers, as young Indians, as human beings, when was the last time you thought about this river? When was the last time you ideated about this river? When was the last time you wondered what you could do about this river? That's the question I want to leave you with before I close. My fascination for India's environment is truly because I get to see this for real and you get to see this only through a video. And that's exactly where I sincerely welcome you to come out, step out. This is a beautiful country. Yes, forget all the divisions that we've been taught. There is one thing that is common in us. I said how we litter our rivers and lakes and ponds is what unites us. No. What unites us is the emotional cord that connects you and me, right? The Mahanadi welcomed me today as the Krishna would welcome me, as the Kaveri would welcome me, as the Periyar in Kerala would welcome me, right? This is what all Indian rivers would do to you. This is an open invitation. Come fall in love with your nation's environment. Next time somebody asks you to do a video or a poster on India, don't talk about our movies. Don't talk about our food. Don't talk about our people. Talk about our birds. Talk about our snakes. Talk about our frogs. Talk about our rivers. Talk about our lakes. Talk about our ocean. The Mahanadi's journey all the way from South Central Chhattisgarh to anywhere between Dhamra and Paradeep is a fascinating, inspiring one. I request you to travel along the river to witness how this river is being exploited. She's more of a mother because despite everything that we've done to her, she only knows how to give, support, and strengthen our lives. And that's where I would like to leave this, where I invite you to leave the cocoon, take wings, and spread out to see the real beautiful India, which is an undivided, natural, and fresh, not just to the thoughts, to the vision, but to every movement in life, right? When you go back today, wherever you're from, you could be from Bengal, you could be from Orissa, Andhra Pradesh, Karnataka, talk to your fellow friend or person sitting next to you about the lake near your house, the river near your house, and how that was an inspiration, and how that should be the inspiration for the future India. And that's where this journey would look as fascinating as this. All this water is now reaching western Orissa, where it's going to cultivate fruits, vegetables, paddy. It will come back to be served as lunch, probably in one of the TEDx events across this country. But then the untold story would be of every drop of that water. That every drop is what's made these clothes, these shoes, the body, and more. It's time we took our water seriously. Don't ask when the Ganga would get clean. The Ganga would get clean the very day you and I realize why the Ganga, the Yamuna, the Mahanadi, the Krishna, the Godavari, the Kaveri, the Periyars of India are polluted. You and I are the reason why they're polluted. You and I can be the only reason how and when they can be conserved. I invite all of you to come fall in love with India's environment, and the best place to start that is on the banks of our rivers. Jai Hind.